Standing out further back.
Yeah, Strymer there, a great jump from the second row. Gets to the inside of CUGLIARI there as we now see the touring car field coming to green as well.
Great jump there from Eric Powell, the pole sitter in that class, the Skip Barber Racing School car, but they fan out deep throughout that field. It's 3 wide, the battle for second heading towards turn 1.
Kevin BOEHM there down to the inside. He's very much in this championship picture as well, coming off a championship season in 2020.
And here we go. The green flag waves for the TCA field. A great jump there for the pole sitter Carter FARTUCH. He's able to pull away in the white with black and red striped Honda Civic out at the front of the field, and right behind him, Caleb Bacon from third on the grid, making a lunge to the inside.
Wow, that was brave there on relatively cold tires and maybe still a little bit of a damp racetrack. Just tucked it in there. One thing you can do on a racetrack, you come up to that first turn, you kind of get in the mode of what you do on a green flag racing lab, and it looked like FARTUCH maybe eased off a little bit more than he needed to at the approach speed they had from the initial launch.
First run at speed through turn number 6, and Jacob Root has built out a nice, strong lead. Interesting, Steve Strymer has been able to jump up into the second spot around CUGLIARI, and then just behind is John Hennessy running in 4th. A look through the rest of the field. Oh, a hip check there. That's the TC Spec Mini that's made some contact with one of the Garagistic BMWs, and it looks like he's going to be forced to pull off to the side, yes.
Derek Jones out early. That's disappointing. So maybe this racetrack is still a little bit tricky if you're trying to make some moves. And there's the 06 beached. See the rear wheel spinning there. He's not going anywhere right now.
Matthew Ibrahim driving that car. That's where it all began. Those two coming together in turn number 6 at the top of the hill. And it looks like maybe a tire down on the Mini after the contact. And then Ibrahim goes straight off just past.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scary moment there for Ibrahim. It looked like he didn't have any steering control of that BMW when he entered the carousel. This track looks damp right here, so this second half of the race circuit definitely a lot wetter than it is up the front stretch.
Now, and hopefully you could spot that on that formation lap and kind of know what to expect when you get there. But yeah, this is wild and crazy stuff throughout the field. Woo. And look at Kevin BOEHM charging up. He's up into second already. Look how wet the track is. You saw a little bit of spray coming off of these cars.
Yeah, side by side there between Powell and Austin Smith down into the brake zone for Canada. Smith went a little bit wide and BOEHM just out-accelerated him off Canada corner and now putting pressure on the leader.
Kevin BOEHM, the reigning TCA champion, making the step up to TC. He's riding the slipstream of the pole sitter Eric Powell, who was able to hold on to that lead on the initial lap. BOEHM, the big mover, though, able to jump a number of spots on that lap, and he's running in great position, running right behind Powell in second.
Tell you what, though, it looked like Eric Powell was really able to stretch his legs there on BOEHM. They're running similar machinery, so that's a bit of a surprise there being that much of a delta between the two supposedly identical cars.
Here comes Smith back on the attack now, lost that spot, and once it back, he's got it in turn number 3. That BMW platform looking strong, mixing it up with a couple of Civics.
Everyone's settling in now. So it's Jeff Rika there running in the 4th position. He's got a bit of a run here with that Hyundai.
He does indeed. The Gin Racer Hyundai peaks to the outside of BOEHM, who was up to second just a few moments ago. He's been dropped back to 4th. Give that podium spot in TC to Rika, who's now right on the back bumper under the rear wing of Austin Smith.
BOEHM looks vulnerable on the straightaways. We saw him get stretched there by Eric Powell on the front stretch and then easily passed there by Jeff Rika there on the run down to turn 5.
Did get a report from that BOEHM team that in the heat there are some adverse effects on the Honda Civic. That doesn't totally account for it, though, because Eric Powell is out in front and running unhindered, it would appear. It is a relatively hot afternoon here in Wisconsin, Calvin, and that is going to take its toll on the machinery as well as the pilots behind the wheel.
Yeah, certainly, and be a bit early in the race for that heat soak to be a factor yet on Kevin BOEHM's car, but it could be something else, and it's actually not the entry to the carousel. My mistake. It's the entry to turn 7 where that car is stranded and beached right now of Ibrahim. So they're electing to stay green flag racing right now because it would be a lengthy process to get that cleaned up. They must believe that he's far enough off the racetrack to be out of harm's way.
Well, as you say that, we do go full course yellow, so evidently not to the liking of the stewards, and there is Tom Hansing displaying the double yellows at the start-finish line. And we'll dispatch the Lamborghini Urus safety car, and we'll bunch everybody up again. the guy at the front of the field the last time we were looking at the TCA field was Caleb Bacon. We saw the bold move he made to take the lead, and he was starting to pull away a little bit. This brings everybody right back into the picture. Same can be said for Ruud, who had built up a nice lead of over 2 seconds in the TCX field. And Eric Powell, that was still pretty close there between Powell, Boehm, Smith, and Rika in TC.
You can see here quite a damp racetrack as you come down through the kettle bottoms to Canada Corner. This is turn 12 that we're in right now. As you get through here, racetrack is a lot drier, so certainly that shower was kind of more evident over on that side of the circuit.
And that's the interesting thing about a track of this length, Calvin. It can be perfectly dry on one side of the track, and then you get to the other half and there could be puddles waiting for you. And that part of the track too, it's worth noting, is shaded by those trees, so it does tend to take longer to dry in the back half of this lap.
Certainly. But everyone's had a chance to feel things out here and make the mental adjustments. Not much you can do with the race car right now. Just make the mental notes and how you drive the race circuit, where the grip is. And you may find that some of these cars are really quick in the dry sector and may struggle a bit over on the damp side of the circuit.
Taking a look at the start here, and Cugliari making his first start appears to have dropped back. That's, I think, where Strymer made the move. This is the TC start to the race, and here in TCA is Bacon, who came from third on the grid and jumped to the lead here in the first sequence of corners. Really impressive.
Yeah, just fires it there to the inside, so came from a long way back there and made it stick.
This is, I think, where this incident started. It was Ibrahim who got delayed a little bit, tried to go defensive, and then he and Jones getting together there at the apex of 6.
Just locked horns there, just trying to get super aggressive there on this opening lap. Then there's an extra cloud, and I think that was that second one that may have damaged the possible left front suspension on that BMW, and he sped it off the road. Unfortunately,
it appears day done early for both the BMW as well as the Mini, and for that Mini team in particular, what a difficult weekend it was for them at VIR. And that TC spec car in particular is a new project for the LAP team, and it had a bit of a setback, I think it's safe to say, with the incident at Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, early days with that. Certainly a very exciting program, and we're hoping to see it really come through that development process and be a strong contender for class wins here before the end of the season.
While we have a moment at the back end of this shot, the yellow Nissan coming through the picture, that's Rob Hines behind the wheel, and I wanted to offer condolences to Rob. He lost his mother Judy within the last week. Never an easy situation, so our condolences certainly to Rob, a great racer in his own right, who has had some really good results in that Nissan this season, and I'm sure would love, love, love to put a great run together here in at least one of these 2 races at Road America.
Yeah, tough time for him and the whole family, I'm sure, and maybe being here at the racetrack will take his mind off things for a little bit and go back to something that he truly has a lot of passion for in terms of his racing. But you know, one of those things in life, mate, it happens, and you're never prepared for it, I don't feel.
Rob, a former SCCA runoffs national champion in the T2 class going back to 1999. He's run Spec Miata in recent years and some other classes at the runoffs. Was third in Spec Miata in what was a dramatic finish at this track, actually, a year ago. Preston Pardis ultimately won that race. But Rob, certainly capable, and has found a nice platform to work with in the TechSport Racing Run car. TechSport very, very busy, as we've come to expect, with a couple cars in different classes here this weekend.
Yeah, they're a great team, though. A lot of, when we talk about passion, they have a ton of passion for racing and work really hard to deliver good customer cars and get the results. And Rob lined up 5th on the grid and maintains that position after these opening laps.
So interesting to see a couple of changes for position in TCX as well as TCA at the start. Ruud got the jump as we anticipated, but Steve Strymer doing a nice job to get up into the 2nd spot there. That Hard Motorsport team located out in the Pacific Northwest. There aren't a lot of easy hauls for them. Sonoma is the closest race, and that's still 7-8 hours, I think, towing that car to the track. We saw them make their debut a few years ago. Adam Harding, team principal. He's also done some driving with that team, and they seem to be coming and getting stronger and stronger as the year goes along, and Steve's development has continued to improve.
Yes, for sure. It's a shame we don't see Johann Schwartz on the grid this year, but hopefully we'll see him back in the not too distant future, and he's very much a big part of that team, stepping up their program last year.
And the third member of our team is Amanda Busick. She joins us now from the pit lane.
Well, guys, if we had any sight of weather earlier, I can tell you that that is dead and gone. It is bright and sunny out here, and the heat has returned. We didn't even get that knocked off a little bit. But I want to give you a little update on the new entry that we have in TCX this weekend, Stephen CUGLIARI. He joins us from Westport, Connecticut. They actually bought this car earlier in the year. Unfortunately, Stephen broke his hand, so the first time that he got in this car was in June. The plan was to race a couple of races this year. They still hope that they can fit that in. But this is the first race he's ever had on those Pirelli sticks. So you think about a learning curve to have right here at one of the most challenging racetracks in America. Stephen has his work cut out for him today.
Definitely so, and adapting to the different tires, that's a huge part of modern motorsport. It seems like each tire has very different characteristics.
It does, and certainly he was able to extract the most out of them during qualifying, but obviously start of the race looked like he was a little bit more tentative, and see if he can come on strong as this race hopefully gets back to green here pretty quickly.
He's done some racing in MX5 Cup, has Steven, in recent years. A couple of starts back in 18 and 19, ran 4 races last year, and now making the jump into TC America. And we've seen the MX5 Cup car be a good platform to learn from. I think John Jesbray, right, in Pirelli GT4 America did 1 season of that and has immediately been on the pace in GT4 cars. It's just a good learning platform, low horsepower, but it teaches you a lot of good habits. And there's been a long line of drivers, whether it's Spec Miata or MX5 Cup, that they've used that to jumpstart their careers.
Oh, big time. I think if you can succeed at that level, and in terms of a car that does not have a ton of horsepower, and it's all about momentum and rolling speed through corners, you can really transition into any championship and be very effective.
Great to see Stephen joining the series here for this weekend, and as Amanda said, the intention is to see him more as the year goes along. We hope that is the case. And somebody to keep Jacob Root on his toes. And that's not been something we've been able to say much this year. He's been great. And this one is a weekend where he really wants to succeed in front of all the hometown friends and family like you talked about. He got a great start to the race on the initial green flag. He'll need to be good again on the restart because he's got Steve Strymer right behind in that white BMW. All BMWs right now in the TCX class. There is the potential of seeing some other cars from other manufacturers, but this brand new car from BMW has proven to be quite popular and a fun car to drive by all accounts. And we'll see that on display as Jacob Root comes up the front straightaway, waiting for the green flag, takes them up slowly, but does get a nice jump. And here comes CUGLIARI. He got jumped on the initial start. Now he moves to the outside of Strymer, racing for second.
Yeah, he did get the jump there, so it's going to be mano a mano here in at the brake zone. Root has a nice comfortable gap, can hit his marks. Strymer down at the inside. CUGLIARI kind of rubbing on that fender there, nowhere to go with it, and it's going to give Steve the inside line down into the run to turn 3 as well. But CUGLIARI's on the typical line here. Can he run around the cushion here and try and make it stick? No, gives it up early.
Probably the smart move there, settling back into line, trying the crossover move, and does get to power nice and early out of turn 3. He moves to the right, which is going to be the outside when they get to the braking zone of turn 5, the next corner of significance. Turn 4, really just that kink in the road, nothing to worry about. Here comes Strymer up the inside, CUGLIARI around the outside into 5.
Done this a few corners so far. Let's see if they can continue to survive here. Just good, respectful racing. Tucks back in again. Looks like Roy Block has got around Olivier Askew there in the backdrop of this picture.
Roy up into the 5th spot, and Strymer and CUGLIARI, great battle between those two, great respect shown as well. Strymer able to hold on to that position for now, but that's allowed Root to escape.
Yeah, he's just taken off, and that's going to allow him just to execute and do what he's been doing all season long in terms of just really driving hard and executing his lap times with no pressure from behind. It's a different story than having someone who was only a thousandth of a second off breathing down your neck here on these opening laps.
Unfortunately, with that full course yellow, we've nearly reached the halfway mark of this race already. Just 25 minutes left to go, and you could tell the urgency has picked up on this restart, hasn't it?
It really has, and I think Jeff Ricker has gotten around here. He's putting the pressure on Powell for the lead in touring car, it looks like.
Ricker and that Gin Racer Hyundai, that's the development that he and his Gin Racer team have been putting into that car for several seasons now, independent of what we see with the other Hyundais, the TCA car as well as the TCR car, which doesn't run in this championship, but that's all under the purview of Brian Herta Autosport, whereas Gin Racer has been tasked with developing this TC car, and they've done a great job of it.
My mistake there is actually Rika putting the pressure on BOEHM. Powell continues to lead, but Austin Smith sitting there in the second spot in that bright blue and white car going through the apex there.
And they've caught the back, it appears, of the TCX field, which is going to make things interesting. Here comes Austin Smith around the outside, and it seems like we've been saying this all day long. Look at the horsepower of the BMW.
Yeah, certainly put it to good use there. So he's going for 3 on the bounce here in terms of wins. Swept the weekend at VIR, admittedly, with shortened races there, but BMW's looking really strong, and this championship was awfully tight. I think this could swing the tide here at the end of the night in terms of the points here, just with this one position change.
Austin Smith to the point around Eric Powell, the pole sitter. Rika runs right there behind. He's been able to jump up into third. Panning further back, this is Bacon leading the TCA field, and the Mini currently running third. Then the second Forbush performance car running just behind in fourth.
Yeah, Forbush having a tremendous year. Rumberg got his first victory at VIR. They've had 4 wins this year, 3 by our championship leader, Caleb Bacon.
That is Luke Rumberg right there, the second Signal-sponsored Hyundai. But up front, it is Bacon trying to hold off the pole sitter, Carter FARTUCH, who we saw drop back to second thanks to the aggressive move at the start from Bacon. And now Bacon trying hard just to solidify that position. FARTUCH's not letting him get anywhere.
No, he's hanging tough here, and not a lot of time to work with here with that caution period. So 22 minutes plus on the board. Can't afford to hang around here. You got to really make it happen early.
This section of the track called Hurry Downs. Big elevation drop hard onto the brakes here for this left-hander. And sets you up then for the sprint into the carousel. High duration corner. Very technical. Takes a lot of patience to get this corner right.
It really does. It just keeps coming at you a little bit off camber all the way through, so you're really loading that left side tire. You just need good balance in the race car and just find that sweet spot. Don't keep working the throttle too much. You can certainly use it to get the front end tucked in by lifting off a little bit, but don't unsettle the balance of the car too much. Being smooth is really the key, but look at that run that FARTUCH gets there through the kink, using the grass and a little bit more there as you head down towards Canada Corner.
Side by side, the battle for the lead in TCA. It's FARTUCH to the inside, to the outside. Caleb Bacon. Bacon forced to relent. FARTUCH, the pole sitter, back to the point in TCA.
Yeah, his car was really hooked up there. He was able to roll a lot more speed through the kink there, and that's what gave him the opportunity to make that move.
And here comes Clayton Williams watching the top 2 battle amongst themselves. The yellow Mini is very much in the mix.
3 different manufacturers represented here in the top 3 in TCA right now. Right now, Honda has it over Hyundai, but Mini right there as well.
Look at the run that the Mini gets out of turn 14, sitting in the slipstream. Here comes Clayton Williams, forcing Bacon to go defensive. He'll guard the inside line. Does he have the horsepower? Does he have the ponies when he pops out of the draft? It doesn't look like Williams does. He's forced to tuck back in line behind the Hyundai.
No, they look pretty even there, amazingly enough. So again, the BOP has really done a great job in equalizing the performances here. But FARTUCH looks pretty confident here at the front, stretching it early in this run here.
As far as the overall lead is concerned, it's still Jacob Rude by nearly 3 seconds now over Steve Strymer. Austin Smith leads in TC. These are the top 3 in TCA. Carter FARTUCH lost the lead on the first quarter of the first lap. He's charged back by, and now Caleb Bacon falling into the clutches of the Williams car. That's the Mini. And now we got a battle here going on in TCX.
CUGLIARI there had a bit of a moment, it looked like, coming through turn 7, trying to regroup here. Let's take a look at it. There he is, big sideways. Yeah, caught it nicely.
And keep in mind, we had a rain shower that came in just prior to this race. That grass is still wet. There is nothing scarier than sliding off onto wet grass.
He kept it together, got to get back into a rhythm now, so Certainly Strymer's here having a good run, try to chase after our championship leader and race leader, Jacob Ruud. Last time across the stripe, Ruud set the fastest lap only by a couple of tenths, so everyone's hanging with him here in terms of pace today.
Yeah, he was able to build this gap just because of the fight we saw going on for second between Strymer and CUGLIARI. That slowed them down while they were fighting amongst themselves, and as a consequence, Ruud built this gap, but it has not grown since then. Strymer settling in nicely. CUGLIARI still thrashing that number 57 car around. It went for a wild ride there over a couple of bumps. He's not ready to concede second place.
I think it's pretty good for the championship. I mean, Jacob Ruud looked like he's just going to walk the park here this year, but I think as we're getting more events, everyone's starting to get more comfortable with this TCX class and generating more and more performance from their car. And as I say that, Ruud just laid down a lap, a second clear of everyone else. So that's a bit early in my suggestion there. I feel he does have a ton of pace here today as well.
Might have been holding something in reserve and uncorked it right there. Builds that lead up to over 4 seconds. Let's give a call to John Hennessy as well, who runs 4th in TCX as well as overall. It's been kind of a quiet season for John, but doing a nice job for Classic BMW, stepping into TC competition, coming from Lamborghini Super Trofeo. That is a big difference in race car. Going from a high horsepower car to a momentum car, I'm sure is taking some adjustment.
Austin Smith has got the lead in the touring car class, and he's being chased by Jeff Ricker. So Powell, our championship leader and early leader pole sitter, has dropped down to 3rd. BOEHM given chase in 4th. See if we get another shot at that, but BOEHM definitely seems to be losing time down these straightaways here.
Now, and again, we did get word that maybe you could expect some of that in the high heat. It's something that they're working through with this TC spec Civic, but at the front, no such problems for the BMW or the Hyundai here. Jeff Rica piling on the pressure, looking awfully strong, trying to keep the winner of the last couple of races, Austin Smith, right there in his crosshairs.
Well, Gen Racer Hyundai was very fast at Circuit of the Americas, and you have a lot of straightaway there as well, so I'm not saying it's identical. There's a lot more twisty stuff, transitional stuff, change of direction at Circuit of the Americas as opposed to the race circuit here at Road America, but nonetheless, it seems like that Hyundai is pretty competitive here. Jeff had a win at Circuit of the Americas. That's his strongest result of the year in terms of the overall performance for the whole weekend.
Seems like the BMW, though, has been able to leg out a gap through the first sector of the track. And we've also seen Eric Powell closing back in on Rica a little bit.
Ooh, that was wide. That was a little bit hairy there from Kevin BOEHM. Looked pretty balanced, then he just ran out of road, but kept it together nicely. I don't think he lifted there. You can see how hard he's pushing, dancing there on the brakes into the brake zone for Canada.
Kevin telling us that in the off time since the last race, nearly 3 months, he's gone to work learning every inch of this car, just tinkering away, learning about the different components, trying to wrap his head around this new challenge as he steps up from TCA to TC. And he's got the great engineering mind. He works for Honda in their high-performance plant in Marysville, Ohio, does a lot of test driving for Honda in that capacity. And he certainly is very capable of assessing his race car, trying to find any little edge that he can, putting the off time to good use.
Yeah, I mean, he lives and breathes his racing, as does his whole family. So you know that big break, he was going to go through that car with a fine-tooth comb, because they did have some issues at VIR, certainly weren't as competitive as they have been so far this year. Coming off that TCA championship where he was just so super consistent, picked up the points early in the season, then really hit his stride and just went win after win.
I think that really started here last year. He picked up his first wins of the season at Road America, won 2 of the 3 races that were held at this track, finished second in the other, and that propelled him on his championship run, which ultimately he won by 62 points in TCA last year. So this track has some happy memories for him, but right now just outside of the podium as we drop back to the TCA battle. It's still Carter Fartouch out in front and Caleb Bacon doing everything in his power to keep Williams behind.
Fartouch looked really comfortable. Once he got to the lead, you could just tell he's rolling big speed through some of these corners. I think that Honda may have a slightly longer wheelbase than both the Hyundai and the Mini, and it really seems to be coming into play here. I mean, even these 90-degree turns like turn 13, turn 5, you're rolling through the corners for quite a bit of duration. And if you pick up a little percentage of grip through those, it'll really pay off in terms of what you're seeing on the stopwatch.
This is a little further back, but no less fierce. Luke Rumberg in the signal car trying to hold off Jesse Love, one of the Toyota stock car racing development drivers, doing an ARCA season this year and some other racing as well. But they plugged him into this tech sport program with an eye on gaining some road racing experience as road racing becomes more prevalent in NASCAR. Uh-oh, and that car looks like it's off the pace right as I was singing his praises.
Yeah, that's a shame. Started the year sweeping both events at Sonoma. Didn't see him at the last rounds at VIR. I think he had a conflict, but certainly a very impressive young man.
Yeah, fitting in as many races as he can around his stock car racing schedule. A great dirt track racer as well, which is where he caught Toyota's attention. But off the pace here. Meanwhile, let's check in with Amanda in the pits.
I want to just give you a little ad on Caleb Bacon here. I was just speaking with this team, and they have a spotter in turn 5 that's looking over the track. You can see a couple corners from that position, but they're really just relaying information to Caleb on where that BMW or where that Mini Cooper is. They really that's the one that Caleb is most concerned on as he looks to battle through this position for the second spot right now.
He's got plenty to be concerned about right now, able to battle back and get that position back, but you can see Williams very strong in that Mini.
Yeah, he really, it's a power move down at the inside, but it just really shows how tough Caleb Bacon is. It took it in his stride and got the position right back there. So he's fighting for every point he can here, even though the win may be out of his reach here today with the performance of Carter FARTUCH up front.
We should note that this BMW coming through the picture is not in this TCA class battle. That is Chris Valdez in the second garagistic BMW out of the TC field. So as you would expect, coming through the TCA field without too much trouble, and clears both of those cars running second and third in class and lets them get back to their own battle. Meanwhile, Carter FARTUCH has totally checked out on them. This is the leader in TCA.
You see him, he's really good through that turn 3. Car looks really balanced, and he's going to be pretty excited here if he can score his first win of the season. This is Austin Smith, continues to lead in the touring car class. Jeff Rika is keeping him honest, but they've certainly dropped our championship leader and pole sitter, Eric Powell, a little bit. Between the two Hondas. Going Powell's way, there you see Kevin BOEHM a little bit further back. And, he'll have to go to work tonight. He'll be burning the midnight oil, you can bet it, for Kevin BOEHM in terms of tearing that car apart and trying to find the secret ingredient that he's missing here today.
No doubt about that. He races from under the DXDT racing tent, but does a lot of the work himself. Talked about his background and his day job, so he's got the expertise to do so, but does get some support from DXDT. Also has some support from the Operation Motorsports Group, which is a great charity that finds ways to plug veterans into motorsports and find applications for the skills they picked up in their military career. And they've been a part of Kevin's program all season long, and that's something they really cherish. And meanwhile, the car in front is the Eric Powell car out of the Skip Barber Racing School tent. So Skip Barber Racing School, not just the presenting sponsor of TC America, but heavily involved. They see this as a chance to do some driver development. Here's Roy Block to the inside of Olivia Askew in turn 1.
It's a great little battle here for what is 5th position, and always coming off a brilliant TCR win, Alfa Romeo, that they competed with here over the years, but they finally got it on North American soil. The first win for the Alfa Romeo TCR car just 3 weeks ago, right here at Road America. So certainly fond memories to reflect on as he returns to the circuit this weekend.
That might have been Block actually holding off a charge from Olivia Askew, because it was Block shown as ahead at the line. Those two have been pretty close together for much of this race. Back to this fight. This is the TCX fight. CUGLIARI out in front right now, but coming under pressure from Hennessy right behind.
He actually made a move, because across the stripe, similar scenario, Hennessy was actually in front of CUGLIARI, so he's made a pass here in this half lap since they last hit the start-finish line. You'd have to think that the man who sat on the front row just a whisker off the pole position has a bit more performance here to burn.
Let's take a look at a replay. This here is CUGLIARI. Wow! That's in the carousel. Goes a little bit wide and able to bring trying to get back under control. That explains how that position was swapped around.
Car's certainly a little bit twitchy on him, isn't it? He's having to catch it a couple of times here today, but has recovered and kept on the island, so to speak.
The car is fast. We've seen that from him, and he's not lacking in confidence in it, is he? Because he's right back on the loud pedal and charging back around Hennessy there to regain the third spot.
They gambled a bit with the rain that was coming our way here. Side-by-side action there between Bacon and Williams there going through turn 6. So I wonder if maybe Cugliari gambled on the setup here a little bit, maybe softened it off, thinking the track was going to be a little bit damper, and suddenly us giving up on him when he starts to load the car through the corners.
Well, when the weather rolls through as sporadically as it has throughout the day here today, that does put a real challenge in front of these teams to make sure they're making the right choice. And you're having to make some of these choices on the fly and checking your app and looking at different weather forecasts, trying to get the best information you can. And sometimes it's just a guessing game.
It is. And literally about 20 minutes before we started to roll for the start of this race, it definitely looked like it was potentially wet weather tires, and it dried out pretty quickly. As we can see, the rain really only hit half of the circuit versus the full 4 miles here, so that certainly changed your choice as well.
Here comes Clayton Williams back on the attack just to the back of that shot, moving to the outside of Caleb Bacon in the Hyundai. Did he get the move made? He did not. Bacon making that Hyundai very, very wide, keeping Williams at bay once again.
He's done a super job here in terms of controlling this. Great racecraft here by Caleb Bacon, third-generation racer.
Took the words right out of my mouth. A long history of racing in the Bacon family, including some success in 24 Hours of Daytona, going back several years, decades, I guess, at this point, going back a couple generations. But he's forced on the defensive now as Williams continues in the slipstream, but doesn't seem to have the top end of the Hyundai. And ooh, that's a big slide there. Is that Olivia Askew?
Yeah, and that's where we saw the yellow created early in this race.
Yes, a car stranded right in that very spot. Matthew Ibrahim, after contact with a Mini on the first lap of the race. Here's a replay.
Oh, Roy just went back over online and Olivia was online. Roy looks like he had a bit of a moment as well, so I'm not sure if he got suspension damage or cut down a tire in that hit. Yeah, he did.
You can see the wheel wobbling there. The left front certainly not pointed in the right direction. Now he's forced to limp that car around. Tough break for Roy. And Olivia, as far as we can tell, still stranded in the kitty litter. Here comes Clayton Williams, and he knows there might be a full course yellow. This might be the end of it. He's got to go on the attack. He lost some momentum there, though, and that's bringing him into the clutches of the number 2 car.
Yeah, and I think what the teams will be telling these guys, stationary yellow there through that particular corner, but I think we're green everywhere else. So if you got anything, go for it now. Don't think you still got 6 minutes plus to work with. You might get full course yellow here to finish this one.
I misspoke. Colin Harrison in the 2 car is a lap down, so they were making their way through that, and that might have brought these two a little bit closer together even than they were already. This is the part of the track, though, where it seems like Williams has had some success getting the run through the carousel, then through the kink. He's made a couple of attempts going into Canada Quarter Cow. Can he set it up yet again?
Yeah, well, I wonder if Caleb Bacon's a bit vulnerable here through the kink. We certainly saw Carter FARTUCH make a big run on him there. Look at Williams there, just pinches it a little bit. So hard to follow that close through the kink. You can't really see your marks, you can't see the line, and you're just really tracing the steps of the driver in front of you.
Bacon sideways under brakes. Williams stays right there in the tire tracks, not going anywhere. Just a slip of paper between these two coming up through Billy Mitchell Bend. And full course yellow is displayed. That will break off this fantastic duel for second spot in TCA. That might be the break that Caleb Bacon needed. I suspect Olivia Askew was not able to extricate her car from the gravel trap, and that has necessitated a safety car intervention. Yeah,
with the length of this circuit, probably not going to see any further action here under green flag racing here this afternoon, unfortunately.
Unless it's very, very quick. I think you're right, though, and there you see the safety car waiting for the leader, so we're going to have to wait for the TCX leader, overall leader, Jacob Rude, to cycle around for the safety car to pick him up. And then we'll continue at safety car speed. Yeah, I think we might be hard-pressed to get a restart in. We will see. I'm going to hold out hope, Calvin.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. Here's Rude coming through turn 14, so the safety car will pick him up. It's a Lamborghini Yaris safety vehicle, but essentially we got to wait for all of those TCI machines and everything to catch back up, and I don't think we have enough meat on the bone to work with.
Well, and Jacob Rude is in no hurry to catch up to the safety car because he has just seen a 10-second lead wiped away, and if this race never restarts, he'd be perfectly fine with that, and there's the white flag displayed along with the yellow, so that puts to bed any debate about whether or not this race will end under green flag conditions. So, barring something catastrophic, Jacob Rude is set to keep the perfect streak intact. What a season he's had, and this one will be extra sweet because it comes on home soil.
It does. It's a big one. I mean, he came here as a young kid when his dad was running in the Ferrari Challenge events here, so made his debut at this track at the age of 16. So, big day for him. You always want to perform in front of your family and friends, even though obviously everyone can watch you on TV, but this will be a fun night, but he can't celebrate too hard. He's A's young, and B has to do it again tomorrow.
That's right. Give it a call, though. Steve Strymer did a great job. CUGLIARI in his debut, I thought, was awfully impressive. Maybe he expected or hoped for a bit more after the great qualifying performance, but this TCX field is just getting stronger and stronger throughout the course of the season, and to come away with a podium on debut, I think speaks volumes for his potential.
Absolutely. Looking at his best lap, I mean, he got it together there. We talked about Rude having a second over the field. CUGLIARI did lay down a 2:25.6, only 0.3 off of Jacob Rude, so that's showing his potential here this weekend, and there may be a stronger run here tomorrow.
Well, that should lock down the second starting spot for tomorrow also, as the grid for race 2 in TC America is set by the fastest lap of the race. And speaking of fastest laps of the race, the fastest lap overall does belong to Jacob Rude, 2:25.393, so he'll have pole for the second straight race at Road America.
Jeff Rika's the fastest man in touring cars, so that may give him pole for tomorrow. And looking at TCA, Rumberg possibly.
That's
interesting. Finished fourth off the podium. May have the fastest lap looking down the order. I think he does. Could be a pole for the young man who had a victory at VIR.
Yeah, he was on a charge there. Didn't get the qualifying he was hoping for. Started back in 6th, but able to get up a couple of spots. Picked up a 4th place finish, or at least is due to, assuming everything is copacetic the rest of the way. But how about Carter Fartuch? Let's give him a call here too with a race win.
Yeah.
Pole sitter, lost the lead, but gathered it right back up. And as soon as we restarted from the initial full course yellow, he went right back to work.
Yeah, and he looked pretty confident. You could just tell that he had that language. He wasn't going to hang around for anybody. He just got on with the program once he got to the lead.
He's had a couple good results this year. Of course, he was the Saleen Cup Young Guns champion back in 2019. Won that championship on a tiebreaker with Austin Riley. They had the same number of points, the same number of wins. It came down to the most second-place finishes, which Carter Fartuch had. So the Pennsylvanian was the inaugural and to-date only champion in the Young Guns category for Saleen Cup. Didn't see him at all last year, but finds this great opportunity with the Skip Barber Racing School team driving the Honda Civic, and starting to show some of his development as we've reached the halfway mark in the season.
See some of those track improvements, that access road where you can kind of take a golf cart or walk your way down from the carousel all the way down here to the inside of Canada Corner. Just a super impressive facility. If you haven't been here, as a fan, put it on your bucket list. It's a special place. It
is, and everything from the concession stands to the camping to the vantage points, the amenities are top-notch. There's a reason it's held in such high regard. I mean, there's so many great circuits in North America, but you poll a race fan or a driver, and it does seem like this one comes up pretty frequently as a favorite road racing venue.
And just the whole ambiance of what's around here with the little village of Elkhart Lake and some of the traditional establishments there, Seepkins and the Paddock Club, and just a wonderful venue, just really, really cool.
And for whatever reason, oh, I guess that's true. We haven't taken the checkered flag yet, so that does make some sense. Still behind the safety car. We'll have to do one more lap back around to the pit lane. But Jacob Rude will cross the line. He's got the hand out the window saluting the hometown faithful that have come to cheer him on. He is your race winner once again in TCX. Austin Smith will win the TC class, and Carter FARTUCH the winner in TCA, the first of 2 races of the weekend for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School.
Be big for Austin Smith. 3 races on the bounce there, 3 victories. I think he might assume the championship lead here tonight, but it's very unofficial. My eyes look at extremely small font on this points table.
Well, I'm going to take your word for it. I don't trust myself with math, so we'll leave that to you. But great results here and a great string of results for Austin Smith. Like you said, winning 3 races on the bounce. Had only 1 podium in the first 4 races. 7th, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. His first 4 results. And then coming into the VIR weekend was 4th in points, albeit only 19 back. But since then has gone on a tear, and he's put himself in prime position to challenge for a championship in TC. As we look at the provisional race results, Jacob Rude, Steve Strymer, Stephen Cugliari, 1, 2, and 3. John Hennessy, a nice run to 4th in the number 50 entry in TCX. Then Austin Smith, who we've been talking about, but he's got his work cut out for him tomorrow. Jeff Rika, courtesy of the fastest lap of the race in class, will start on pole for race 2 tomorrow. Then the 2 Hondas of Powell and Boehm.
Yeah, there's going to be some good fighting tomorrow. I think everyone had a chance to feel the track out in these conditions here, but everyone will be tweaking on it tonight. You got to come back with a slightly sharper race car tomorrow.
Great fight we saw in TCA. Great fight for second, really. And Clayton Williams, you see at the top of the screen there, very much in the mix there, along with Caleb Bacon. Luke Rumberg will be the pole sitter tomorrow. Jose Blanco, a quiet run for VGMC, but does come home in 5th in class. He's a driver transitioning to cars with fenders after a career that began in single-seaters. Puerto Rican driver with a Puerto Rican team, and they've got some really high hopes for his future.
A shout out to Sally McNulty as well. We didn't see much of her in the race today, but what a qualifying performance. Lined up 4th on the grid here today. Only 1.3 seconds off the pole for that small run team, and don't have a lot of resources, but they live and breathe their racing, and that's a great performance, Sally.
She's about as enthusiastic about her motorsport as anyone. And getting a little bit more assistance these days. VGMC stepping in to help her run her car. It had been just a really tiny operation off of an open trailer for much of its existence, the Team Sally Racing operation. And now with a bit of help from VGMC, but still doing a lot of work on her own, and has had a nice solid weekend at Road America. There is, though, the man of the hour, Jacob Rude, hand out the window, just smiling. I'm sure he's been dreaming of this from the time that he was a little boy, Calvin, coming here to support his father, dreaming of racing one day at this storied circuit.
Yes, a special place, and for many of the drivers in the field has even more meaning when you were brought up here as a young kid and spent your early years observing, peering over the fence and sitting down in turn 5 and watching race cars barrel down that moraine sweep into the braking zone. To think that maybe I'll do that one day, to come here and stand on the top step of the podium is going to be a special feeling.
I really look forward to that interview with Amanda when we get it here in just a couple of minutes. I'm sure the emotion will be evident for all to see. Jacob Rude winning on home soil. He's won a lot this year. It's getting tougher, though. The competition stepping up in TCX. So the combination of the fight for it here today, plus the nature of this being the home track, is going to make this a very happy young man. Jacob Rude climbing out of his BMW. Holds up the number 1, pats the race car. He did a lot of hard work for him today. And he'll be talking to Amanda here shortly. He's got a great team behind him, though, doesn't he, with Classic?
He does. They're a great group. They work really hard, run multiple cars, and every one of them is top-notch. And this is a big one, though. 7th win in a row, unbeaten so far this championship season.
How long can he keep that going? That's kind of what I'm curious about now. It's going to be more and more difficult as the year progresses.
Yeah, CUGLIARI certainly showed pace in qualifying just to sniff off the pole, and certainly showed it in race pace once he got going and into a groove here today.
Let's hear from him now with Amanda.
Jacob, in 7 races, you now have 7 wins, but I imagine this one is extra special. You hopped out of the BMW, pad at the top of the car with the Wisconsin flag on it. Why is this one so special for you?
I mean, I've been coming to this track since I was probably 2 years old. And to win in front of all of my family and friends who came here to watch today and everybody watching at home just feels that little bit extra special. You know, a win is special in its own right, but winning in front of everybody who came out to see you watch specifically, it's just a fantastic feeling, and there's nothing that can beat it in my mind.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big smile, big sigh of relief from Jacob Ruud. His magical debut season in TC America TCX competition continues. There is Jeff Rika climbing out of the Gin Racer car.
Yeah, really strong run. I think he could have a crack at it tomorrow in terms of a win, potentially.
Don't see why not.
No.
Gave it a strong run to 2nd in TCA. Coming up just a tad bit short to Austin Smith, who's standing by.
And his team ran to the guardrail to cheer him on as he crossed through the finish line. But Austin, you pick up some points, and your team said that that's exactly what you were looking for in this race. As we move to this back half of the season, what are your sights on?
Well, I mean, we're sitting 3rd, I think, in the championship right now. We didn't get full points last week, so that was definitely tough. But to get this one full points, to chip away at that lead, that's exactly what we were looking to do. And we'll try to continue to do that the rest of the season. But huge shout out to the team, the sponsors, Upstream Engineering, Auto Technic Racing, JCD. Freaking coach is on it, man. My teammate Tom, it definitely keeps me honest, for real. These guys are so solid. Best team to drive for right now, for sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
JCD, John Capestro Dubets. We saw him in Pirelli GT4 America competition with a great run earlier today. Heavily involved with Auto Technic and doing a great job coaching Austin Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the team and the whole package. I mean, you got to deliver when that's, the green flag flies. You're out there by yourself, but how you're prepped, how you're tutored, how you talk to on the radio is all part of that package. And he's got the momentum now. He's going to be maybe the toughest man to beat for this TC Championship.
One more winner to talk to, the one who probably worked the hardest for it here today. It's Carter FARTUCH.
Well, they just said that you probably worked the hardest for the victory here today, Carter. When you look back over this win, what was the defining moment for you?
Honestly, it's hard to put it into words where it was. I mean, the pass that I had to make on Caleb was pretty key. I mean, he has such good speed, and he's been a front runner the whole season and leading the championship. So if I want to have just that little bit of a chance, I had to get it done. And I knew I was faster than him through there, so I had that run, and I had to go for it whether I was going through the grass or not. So,
congratulations. It was yours today.
Thank you.
That's the mentality of a racer, isn't it? Got to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, when you got someone like Caleb who's been on a bit of a roll, 3 wins in the championship season with the championship lead, and he recognized that Hyundai was a bit vulnerable through the kink, so he put it all on the line there. It's a risky part of the racetrack to make it stick, but he made it happen. That'll be very satisfying for him to get this win in the books and see if he can follow up tomorrow.
Happy scenes down in the pit lane. Here are the highlights of race 1 of the weekend for TC America. A couple of different starts to take a look at between the 3 classes. This is the TC start. Now, this was the huge move here in TCA. Caleb Bacon coming from 3rd on the grid to take the lead in the class.
Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy here on the run up to turn 6. Racetrack still a little bit damp there. They lock horns a little bit and then some contact, and we had an early caution in this race because of this one.
That was a shame. It slowed down the pace of the race considerably, and we lost 2 great contenders there, no question about that. This was our debutant, Stephen CUGLIARI, in the 57 car going for a wild ride, but he was able to wrangle it back under control. Comes home in the 3rd spot overall. This brought out the final full course caution of the race, though. Olivia Askew and Roy Block coming together, and that forced the race to end under yellow. Congratulations, Jacob Ruud wins overall at Road America.